Hello, this is Colin Parker from Journey Under 30, Myth Takes, and the president and owner of the Scavengers Network, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about my personal experience with Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect very, very much. It's one of the first games that I ever 100%ed. It's one of the few games that I continuously go back to and replay all the time from start to finish. I also enjoyed Mass Effect Andromeda as well. So all four of the main stage games are games that I have enjoyed. I think that every single game has some flaws, for sure. I think Mass Effect Andromeda kind of got the short end of the stick on multiple reasons. For one thing, I think it's very hard to follow up that initial trilogy. But I think it was great to see the universe and the lore expanded in such a fantastic way, and on the higher-ended consoles. I know that at this point it's just wishful thinking, but I truly hope that even if they don't do a Mass Effect Andromeda 2, I do hope that we get some sort of follow-up. I really don't want my Mass Effect adventures to end. Even though I can go back and play those games again, I would really like to continue to see better graphics and better stories and better worlds and new people that we can explore with. So anyway, long story short, my time with Mass Effect has meant a lot to me. I love this game so much. And I will talk about this game to anybody and everybody whenever I can. This game series has a lot of incredible characters, but no one, I think, will ever beat my homeboy, Garrus. So Garrus, wherever you are, thank you so much for being such a good friend. And thank you, Mass Effect, for being such a great game. And that'll do it for me. Happy N7 Day, everybody.
Mass Effect.
Hi. My name's Jeff Richardson. I'm one of the co-hosts of Everything is Awesome with Jeff and KC, along with my girlfriend Casey Chaos. It's an arts and interview show in which we do big talk on a variety of important topics, from race to mental illness to Mr. Rogers and Game of Thrones. I'm also the creator of a space fantasy RPG called Shattered Worlds. I host a podcast using the game system called Shattered Worlds RPG. It's a fun, raucous romp through worlds riven by war and economic decline. If you love Mass Effect, there's a good chance you'll love us too. So, I'm not sure when I first came across Mass Effect, but I friggin' loved it. I loved the Mako, I loved the Krogans, and I loved being a hard-boiled Commander Shepard, a hardcore ladies' man and dashing hero. I leaned heavily on the sniper rifle and managed my team's movements with precision. I did my best to embody the ideals of Starfleet, combining my favorite elements of Kirk and Picard into one magnanimous figure. My Captain Shepard was tough but fair, charming as hell, and celebrated for his quick thinking in high-pressure situations. In Mass Effect 2, my Commander Shepard did his best to continue serving the goals of galactic progress toward inclusivity and democracy, despite being forced to work with some pretty unsavory characters. My Shepard pretty much tried to work his dude magic with every female character, from Miranda to Jack, even the Doctor. Eventually, he found a lasting love connection with Tali Zora. She appealed to me because she is kind, gentle, heroic, and deeply committed to the survival and prosperity of her people. She's also brilliant, which is one of the qualities I most appreciate in a woman. Her sense of humor was a bit clunky, but I'm sure it would improve if she spent more time with old Shep. I wasn't very pleased with the ending of Mass Effect 2. I loved so much of the game, from the Reaper mythology to the whole Spectre thing, but I didn't like having to sacrifice teammates. It's a part of being in command, but I don't think I'd have what it takes to make those tough decisions in real life. I stopped playing video games for the most part in 2012 to focus on writing and music and eventually podcasting. So I never got to Mass Effect 3, but I hope to play it someday. I think what I love most about Mass Effect is how richly drawn all the characters are. Everyone has their own narrative, their own unique approach to the world and to the mission, and I loved getting to know all of them. And of course, there was the women. I know that probably sounds gross, but as a monogamous dude of a certain age, this game ticked off that vicarious thrill box pretty well. This series is one of the influences for my own role-playing game, Shattered Worlds, and the books and podcasts set in that universe. These games match wild, spacefaring action with strong characters and romance, as well as all sorts of awesome set pieces and cool gear that stick with me to this day. My favorite parts of 1 and 2 are as follows: driving the Mako and gathering supplies, romancing various intelligent, heroic ladies, earning the trust of the Krogans, escaping the explosive destruction of that big complex in the Mako, going toe-to-toe with the ambassador, and spending time getting to know the cool old doctor. When will she get a spin-off? I don't have any criticism for either of these games. They have a deep underpinning of morality and care for people. Like any good science fiction tale, they touch on myriad issues that affect all of us. And it's chock full of touching character moments that have stayed with me well after completing the missions. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts on this most glorious of days. Much love to you and yours. Paragon for life.
Mass Effect.
Hello there, nerds, and happy N7 Day. My name is Ismay Hutton from everyone's favorite D&D advice podcast, Crit Chat, and everyone's most unknown actual play podcast, Half Damage. Mass Effect is one of my favorite games in the Sol system, because underneath all the goofy antics, the amazing ability to bone down with aliens and everything else that comes in the universe, you have your decisions that you have to make, your Paragon and your Renegade actions. And I might be reading too much into it, but I've always seen it as such like a nice contrast to life, because yes, sometimes you need to do the good thing, which might not always be easy. Sometimes you have to do the not so good thing, which also might be difficult. But at the end of the day, you're still the hero of your own story. You're still able to go out and do things. So yeah, sometimes you might have to break the rules. Sometimes you might have to do something that you don't want to do. But at the end of the day, you are the one that's going to be the savior. My name is Ismay Hutton, and this is my favorite day in the Citadel. Is there like a counter for how many times people do that goddamn joke?
Mass Effect.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about how a video game can change your life. I'm MJ, and today is N7 Day. You may have noticed that I don't have my usual co-host, Stormageddon, with me today, but instead I'd like to introduce academic and historian John Lestrange, who is also my husband. I'm very lucky. John, will you say hello?
Hi.
So, can you talk about your current project?
Sure. So my current project is a book about how genocide and genocide-adjacent events, actions, and words are represented in video games.
Did you spend a lot of time on Mass Effect?
Well, there are 4 of them. So yeah, they are at least 80 pages worth of stuff.
All right. So that's something for people to look forward to.
Yeah, that's something for people to look forward to in the next... Well, Skyrim's a big game, so 5 years.
I'm sure you'll get through it faster than that. So today is N7 Day, which begs the question, what does being an N7 mean? Would you like to start?
Sure. So I guess we should talk about what N7 are first.
Mm-hmm.
So within the Alliance Marines, there are designations of, I guess, skill level and sort of importance, N7 being the highest one. N7 are kind of their elite soldiers. Shepard within the original Mass Effect trilogy is an N7. Alec Ryder, the father of the protagonist from Andromeda, is also an N7, and they're just, in general, the best and the best of what humanity has to offer.
So, the space equivalent of the Green Berets, perhaps?
Green Berets, yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's a good analogy.
Yeah. So, to me, being an N7 means that you go above and beyond, that you not only put the mission as a priority, but you also put the people around you as a priority, because Shepard's service history includes the Skillian Blitz, and Akuz, where her entire she lost her entire team. And I see being an N7 as someone who is the best of the best and will do the right thing and protect the people around them.
Absolutely. In Shepard's backstory, right, there are three options. You can either be the sole survivor of the massacre on Akuz, where your entire unit gets wiped out. You can have single-handedly saved your entire unit from attack during Elysium.
Elysium's the third one.
Yeah, Elysium's the third one. Or you can just be known as utterly ruthless, someone who will get the job done regardless. I think any of those can be what an N7 is, because it's getting the job done. It's just, how are we going to do it?
Right. It's about strength of character as well.
Yeah.
I wish I could be an N7. I don't think I'm strong enough.
I think you're stronger than you think you are. I think an N7 has less to do with being a soldier and more to do with what's the Captain America quote from Civil War? "Know you move." I think it's sort of that idea.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't so. Well, that was just Captain America throughout the entire series. That wasn't specifically Civil War.
Yeah, but that's where the quote's from.
Yeah. Okay. Also, there's the "I could do this all day."
Oh, Skinny Steve.
Oh, Skinny Steve. And Beefy Steve. Beefy Steve did it too.
That's also in Civil War. See, it's all from Civil War.
All there.
All from Civil War.
Alright. So, we talked a little bit about how Mass Effect has impacted your work, but is there anything that you'd like to dive into a little deeper?
I wasn't prepared for this. Oh, God. One of the things I love most about the Mass Effect series is the relationships that you get to build with a diverse group of people from several different alien species, all of whom have their own baggage going into it, both as individuals and as members of their species. You have Quarians and Geth, who've both dealt with their own genocides at the hands of each other. You've got the Krogan dealing with the Turians, who bombed them back into the Stone Age, and the Solarians, who created the genophage, which effectively brought the entire Krogan population down to 1/1000th of what it once was. And then the Krogan, who were in turn used as genocidal agents against the Rachni during the Rachni Wars. There's a lot to unpack within the world of Mass Effect that is disturbingly relevant to what I was hoping would be a not-so-relevant field of study.
Yeah, given today's political climate, which we won't dive into, it has become something that is more present in the news and in our lives, which is sad and disheartening.
I was hoping that I was studying history. It turns out I wasn't.
You're studying current events?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. But let's move on to something that isn't so sad.
Of course.
Who is your favorite character?
Oh, God, my favorite character. Are we talking about within the original Mass Effect trilogy or throughout all of the games ever?
Let's say within the original Mass Effect trilogy, because my co-host is still on the fence on if he wants to do Andromeda or not.
Matt, play Andromeda. This is I'm calling you out, play Andromeda. My favorite character within the original Mass Effect trilogy is, and this is not going to surprise you at all, MJ, it's Garrus Vakarian. This sweet, sweet Turian puppy who goes from being a little terrible in the beginning in his sort of ruthless pursuit of people who he thinks are outside of the law to just, especially if you are femshep and you romance him, to just being, oh, so beautiful.
I kind of think that he's flirting a little bit with lawful good in the beginning, because he, wants to do the right thing no matter who gets hurt. But then when you pick him up in 2 again, he has realized that that is not quite the way to go, and he edges more towards chaotic.
See, I would think that Garrus was more chaotic good in the first one, because while he does have a strict adherence to what he thinks of as a code, he's very unconcerned with collateral damage, just with busting the perp. Which, you might be right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Alignments are weird.
Alignments are
They
weird.
all basically mean the same thing.
I think my favorite character is hard to pick out, because I do love Garrus, and Garrus is my favorite romance. But I don't think that he's necessarily my favorite character. I think Tally might be, because she undergoes such a huge, arc of development. She's a very young, naive, but very idealistic kid when you first
Right,
meet her.
Tally's 18 when you first meet her,
Yeah,
right?
I think she's about 20.
Garrus
But
is
she's still a kid.
Garrus is in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 35 or so.
Yeah.
So when you first meet Tally, she's very much. She says something to you. If I turn my back on this, what kind of person does that make me? And she kind of keeps that ideal throughout her entire arc.
Absolutely.
Without maintaining the naivete. She does see some shit, but she still believes in doing the right thing. It kind of changes a little bit what that right thing might be. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. She grows up a little bit. And the way that she grows up, she's my spiritual best friend. She's the best friend of my heart throughout fiction. And I adore her immensely.
And that idea that if I walk away from this thing when I can do something about it, what else am I going to walk away from? It's such an even more powerful idea coming from basically a child versus any other character in this game.
Yeah, she's very sweet.
Because Tally's just leaving on her pilgrimage. She's been outside of the migrant fleet for, we don't know, probably a few weeks at this point, and this is her first exposure to the outside world, and she's already ready to just go to the wall for it, and it's so amazing.
I love that she believes not only in Shepard but in the cause so much that she's willing to give her life, but she doesn't have to give her life because she has faith.
That's one of the best things about the Mass Effect game, and one of the things I love most about it is, especially if you choose the Paragon options. I've never chosen the Renegade option, so I don't actually know if this is still the case if you decide to play that way. But when you play as Paragon Shepard, the members of your party follow you quite literally into hell.
I mean, they will do that if you do Renegade as well, but they'll have slightly different things to say about you.
That's fair. So either way, you play this character who, however they decide to go about their goals, inspires this ragtag group of people who, at the beginning, a lot of them just don't like each other, to put aside all of their cultural differences, all of the grievances, all of the past mistakes, and just go into the charge of the Light Brigade to save the galaxy time and time again.
What is your favorite mission?
There are a lot to pick.
I know.
There are a lot
I
to
know.
pick from.
Which one did you have the most fun with?
The most fun is obviously the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3, but as much as I had a lot of fun with the Citadel DLC, and if anyone listening hasn't played it, please do so. It's so amazing. I think that my favorite would actually be X-57, Bring Down the Sky from Mass Effect 1.
Oh yeah, that does play a lot into things that you study and work on.
Yeah. It's so X-57 Bring Down the Sky is I think the first available DLC for Mass Effect 1, but I could be wrong on that. A group of Batarians have sent a massive asteroid on a crash course with a human colony that, if I remember correctly, is called Terra Nova.
I think you're correct.
And your mission is to stop them from doing this. And at the end of the mission, can I give spoilers in this?
This is a special N7 like bonus episode. I would just say, hey, if you have not played this part and you don't want to be spoiled on it, you should probably stop listening. Come back in like 5 minutes. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, come back in like 5 minutes, because at the end of the mission, you are faced with a choice. The leader of the Batarians, whose name escapes me at the time, has taken hostages from I think, Terra Nova research group, and they are in a room with a bomb. And you can either let this Batarian go, the guy who connected 3 massive drive cores to this asteroid and is sending it on a crash course to try and kill over 300,000 human colonists, and save the hostages, or you can sacrifice the hostages and make sure that this Batarian terrorist gets justice or dies. And that decision, I spent 10 minutes with the game paused, trying to decide what I was going to do there.
You know what I just realized?
What?
It's the trolley problem.
It is the trolley problem. Yeah. Right. Are you going to kill...
Fucking Good Place.
Fucking Good Place. God, I love that show. The trolley problem, for those of you who aren't aware, is there's a trolley going down a track, and there's a fork in it. And on one side of the track, there's one person, and on another side of the track, there's 5 people. And you have to decide if you're going to sacrifice the one person to save the many people, or hit the many to save the one person. There are dozens of variations, but that's what we had to decide at the end of Bring Down the Sky. Do we save these 3 people and let this terrorist go, or do we stop him and they die? I stopped him. And it was a very difficult decision to make, because 3 people got blown up. But it was a decision between letting this terrorist go so that he could probably try the same thing again, or making sure that it could never happen again. So that's what I did.
I've done both, because I've played it so many times, and I try to explore every single option if possible. I've done both ways, and either way, it's frustrating and gutting. Like,
there shouldn't be easy choices in games like this that pride themselves on choices that affect the world, and Mass Effect does a really good job of that, of presenting morally gray choices.
I don't know what my favorite mission is.
There are a lot.
There are so many. I do love the Citadel DLC. It's like when your favorite TV show gets a reunion TV movie.
It's the psych
It's
movie.
the psych movie of Mass Effect.
But also though, it's literally just the psych movie.
It is.
In Mass Effect.
Because everybody shows up and everybody is there, and it's ridiculous.
Well, everyone that you
everyone that has survived up until that
and
moment.
that you have become reacquainted with in Mass Effect 3. You have to find and reconverse with them in the game before they'll show up in there.
Yeah.
So save that DLC to the end of your Mass Effect 3 playthrough.
Yeah, before you go to Cronus Station.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the Citadel DLC. There's this charming moment where you need to break into the Normandy, but you need something that can emit a very small Mass Effect field. And Specialist Trainer just holds up her toothbrush, which is worth 10,000 credits, that cleans her teeth by creating a small Mass Effect field within her mouth. And I love her so much. She's so brilliant.
Also, it breaks her toothbrush, and let's a moment of silence for that toothbrush, the real hero of that DLC.
Oh, and then like poor little space hamster was almost thrown out. That was a really good DLC, and I think that is definitely my favorite. The more I think about it,
Yeah,
I can't wait to get back.
it was just so much fun to get to play that. It also has my favorite weapon in the entire game, which is really frustrating, especially if you wait till near the end of Mass Effect 3, because if you're anything like me, if a game gives you the option to be sneaky sneak and kill people from a distance before they ever see you, you will do that. Mass Effect is a soldier game, really, at its core, so there's not a lot of sneaking around, but in this mission you get a very powerful pistol with a suppressor on it that fires basically silent shots, which is so useful for how I play games and was so unavailable until this moment.
Oh, you know what? You know what is a runner-up? The Kasumi Goto mission.
The classic BioWare I have to dress up fancy and go to a party mission that
Yeah.
appears in every single BioWare game ever.
I love it. It made me very happy.
It is, because it's got that sarcastic, snarky humor that you love so
Yeah.
much.
And I like trying to do things differently.
Yeah.
So I really like that mission. That one's a fun one. What mission made you the saddest?
Oh. The death of Morden Solus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was a toss-up between the death of Morden Solus and the death of Legion, but it's definitely Morden. Morden Solus was part of the team that helped modify the Krogan genophage after they started to adapt to it naturally over 1,000 years. And he helped modify it and re-release it so that it would keep their population growth at one viable birth in 1,000. In 3, the Krogan are fed up, and they are basically say, if you want us to help save the galaxy in this massive war, you're gonna cure this genophage for us, so that if we survive and it all shakes out fine tomorrow, we have a future too. And the only way to administer the cure is to go up an elevator into an exploding building and put it in override manually. And Morden, just in classic Morden fashion, says, had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong. And I'm getting teary-eyed right now.
I know, I'm watching
just
you.
saying it.
Like, do you need a hug?
Oh, yes.
Would you like a hug?
I would like a hug.
Okay.
That's good radio.
My poor husband.
Which one made you the saddest? Share my pain.
I think... I'm not sure if it's necessarily saddest, but it definitely disturbed me the most. The Jacob Taylor loyalty mission.
Oh, the one in 2 with his dad?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And it made me so sad for all of those people. Like, especially for all of the women who were made docile and were kept as pets for all of the men. And it broke my heart walking through that camp and the way they reacted to Jacob. Like, Jacob is not the best.
No, but he's definitely not his dad.
He's definitely not his dad. And just the way that they reacted to him because he looked like his dad, that was a rough mission for my heart.
That was, I spent a lot of time talking about that mission in that chapter because I don't remember Jacob's dad's name.
I don't remember it either.
Yeah, but Jacob's dad so easily justified it to himself that what he was doing was not necessarily good, but the best that he could do, and it was the most moral choice he could make to allow these people to eat this infected food and become horrifically brainwashed so that he could preserve basically himself at the end of it.
And when, like, you show up with Jacob, he doesn't recognize Jacob, first of all.
No, it's been 10 years, though.
And he says, like, I have to have some back pay coming. I'll give you guys something for rescuing me.
Yeah, he doesn't recognize
I hate him
the
so
horror
much.
of what he's done. He just basically laughs it off as this just unfortunate nature of this planet, and he did the best he could to survive.
It would be so easy to take the renegade option on that one.
Yeah. Is the renegade option that you killed?
Well, that you let Jacob kill him, I think.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember if I did that
It's been a bit.
in the playthrough for the book.
It's been a bit since I've played Renegade.
It's been a bit. Yeah. It's weird that Jacob's dad didn't recognize him, though, because everyone who saw Jacob recognized him as his father's son, which is like, how long had it been since Jacob's dad looked in a mirror?
Right?
That he didn't recognize basically his own face.
I hate Jacob's dad.
Jacob's dad
I'm
is
getting
terrible.
distressed thinking about
Let's
it.
move on to something maybe not happier, but different.
Yeah. Oh, God. Ow. So, what are you working on next?
Well, currently I'm working on the book Representations of Genocide in Cartoons, right, which is the second in the what I'm now calling the Representation series.
I think you said the wrong title.
Representation of Genocide in Video Games?
Yes, that's the correct
one I'm
title.
working on now. Representation of Genocide in Cartoons is the first one, which...
Where can people find that one?
Oh, I was wondering if I was able to plug my stuff
Yes,
here. I didn't want to just...
that's what we're leading into. I was
wanna-
trying to do it very sneakily and subtly.
I'm not a subtle man,
I
as
know
you
you're
know
not.
from both the proposal and my wedding vows. You can find Representations of Genocide in Cartoons on Amazon.com. If you run a search for either my name, John Lestrange, you can find my Amazon author page, or if you just look up the title of the book, or even just Genocide in Cartoons, you'll be able to find this in paperback or in ebook format.
For the listeners, can you list off a couple of the cartoons that you cover?
Absolutely. We cover Avatar The Last Airbender and Avatar The Legend of Korra. We cover Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, as well as the Full Metal Alchemist movie, Conqueror of Shambhala, Digimon Data Squad, Titan AE, Grave of the Fireflies, Steven Universe, Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, Tokyo Ghoul, and there may be one or two others that I'm just not remembering right now. There are 13 case studies in all.
All right. That sounds awesome. All right. So we've talked a lot about Mass Effect and how much we love it and how it's impacted us. And I truly think that it has changed my life. It's made me think about my choices a little bit more. It's made me want to be a better person. I want to be the kind of person that stands up and does the right thing no matter who tells me that I'm crazy.
What would Shepard do is a good way of living your life, I think. Because Shepard wouldn't always make the smartest choice or necessarily always the best choice, but Shepard would never not choose.
Yeah.
And that's important too.
What would Shepard do is actually how I fight a lot of my PTSD and anxiety.
Yeah, no, you've mentioned, because, right, Shepard, especially if you play the Soul Survivor, that's why you chose Soul Survivor in your current playthrough of Mass Effect, right?
Yep. Because PTSD twins. Yay. Also, I start freaking out every time there's a Thresher Maw because I'm, like, in the Shepard mindset. And Shepard would probably not be cool with seeing just a Thresher Maw every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Good thing there's only, like, one per planet, and they're not on every planet.
Yes. I was like, only one? No, I have fought many.
No. There's, like, one or two per planet. Thresher Maws are weird, man.
There's fewer in two.
They spread as spores, and we can probably blame the Asari for this. No, the Asari were like the earliest space travelers. They're like the oldest Citadel species available. So like they're probably the ones who spread the original Thresher Maws as spores in their original colonization efforts.
I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with this propaganda that you're spreading.
That's fair.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was a really short episode because we just wanted to provide some bonus content for N7 Day. We love Mass Effect, and we are so thankful for our listeners who love Mass Effect as much as we do. So thank you so much for listening, and happy N7 Day from all of us here at Reignite. I also want to thank Dan Bull for letting us use his song Mass Effect Rap as our theme song. I'd like to thank my dear friend David Boyle for our beautiful logo, which you can get as a sticker on Redbubble if you search for Reignite Podcast. I'd like to thank John for joining me for this episode. I really appreciate it. Where can people find you online?
People can find me online on Amazon.com/John Lestrange. I'm pretty sure is the URL for my Amazon author page. You can also find me on Facebook at John Lestrange historian. On the subject of that logo sticker, I have it, and it's great, and it's on my laptop, so my students see it every day. It's phenomenal. Go buy it.
Our social media, we're on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook as Reignite Pod. You can also email us, reignitepod@gmail.com. We got a couple of really great emails in the last couple of weeks, which we're going to talk about on our next episode, episode 6, technically. This episode exists outside of the canon, so to speak. This is our summer blockbuster episode. But yeah, send us an email. Tell us what you think about the show. Tell us what you think about Mass Effect in general. We love reading your experiences because they make us feel like we're less alone. So thank you again. Have a happy N7 Day, and we'll see you soon.